You know, this episode right here, this episode, I think sponsored by Squarespace.
You know what, I think I'm more of a dog person. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 89. I got it right. Today, we're going to be making some terrain. Well, I say we, it's going to be me, isn't it? It's always me. So I really want to make terrain for these little fellas. Not these two in particular, but like the whole race of these fellas. These are rusters. Now, if you've ever watched any of my videos before, you all know what rusters are. Basically, they're just savages that raid and worship rust in this made-up world that I made up in my head. I've had friends before in real life. I just want to make that clear. I don't know why I want to make that clear right now. I just feel like I do. Anyway, I'm thinking something really rusty and crusty. Lots of rusted, corroded metal, all the fun stuff. I just really like making rusty, crusty things. Is there something wrong with me? Shut up. Anyway, that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be making some rusty shacks or huts or buildings. I don't know, I'm not really sure yet for these rusters to be used on a tabletop war game. I was also thinking I might cast and mould something today. For the first time ever, I've never cast and mould anything. Casted and moulded. I think that's right. So I'm thinking I might try that this episode, We'll see. Stick around to find out. I mean, I guess that's all I really need to say for this. I mean, I could go on about the state of YouTube. I've been ranting about that quite a bit lately. I mean, the only way to be successful on YouTube lately is to make, drama channels, like gossip channels, talking about other YouTubers and things like that. Stuff that you can just spew out in a couple of days. But I just don't really want to do that. I mean, well, you've got some gossip. Yeah, you've always got gossip, Cat. I don't really want to... Don't tell him that. We're not doing the drama gossip thing, all right? But I don't know, I seem to just enjoy doing this and people seem to enjoy watching it. I mean, the ad revenue's gone down, but the amount of ads they stick in the videos has gone up, which doesn't really seem to make any sense. I mean, what can we do? Get sponsorship with Temu. Give me some credit. Some time to sketch. I have a new sketchbook because my last sketchbook I filled up. If you follow my channel, it's a brand new, fresh sketchbook, which just doesn't take as long to fall to the table for some reason. I'm not sure why. We're going to design some ruster huts today. Rusters are like a group of raiders that worship rust and they love rusty metal. So that's. And I need to make them some homes because they just kind of roam around looking and where's our home? I'm really cold. They probably don't say that because they're quite butch. So when I think of ruster huts, I think of just rusty metal piled upon some poles, like a tent or a teepee or a shack. I can't imagine they care too much about comfort. So I'm just going to try a few designs and see which ones stick. I mean, to be honest, I want to keep it as simple as possible. I'm trying to think, what would they do? They probably would just stack some metal up against something and sleep underneath it. Now, obviously, the most simplistic design would be like a tent or like a yurt, like a teepee, where you just stack some poles up and you just pot the metal plates on the side, which is probably what I'm going to do because it's just the thing that seems to make sense. I imagine it's the easiest thing to make, and these rusters don't really care. They don't care. They spend most of their time raiding. They don't really sit at home watching telly. So I think something like this, but instead of canvas or animal skins, I think it's just going to be rusty metal. Lots of rusty, detailed metal. Maybe this can be a whole episode about just how many weird bits of rusty metal plates I can make, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe like a big yurt like this, like the chief could sleep in that one if I want to be fancy. But that's kind of what I'm going for. It's simple, easy. It suits the rusters. I think that's kind of what they would have. Now for some exciting watercolour. Basically I want to paint the whole thing orange. Yeah, if you think the homes in Respite were rusty, I think these Ruster huts have to be, you know, extra rusty. So probably just, yeah, I'm going to be using a lot of burnt sienna paint this episode. But you know, at least it's justified. They love the rust. The Rusters love rust. They worship rust. They're weird. But there we go. That's my design for the Ruster hut. Let's make them. So this video is sponsored by Squarespace. Now Squarespace is a website where you go to make websites. Now if you have no idea how to make a website, you don't know how to deal with a HTML, is it HTML? I'm not sure. And you just want to make a website about things like, you know, like a pickle website, for example. Like, yeah, like that, like pickle perfection. That's it, Bill. Click there. If you just want to make a website that's quick and easy and clean and nicely designed, then go to Squarespace. I made this website in like, you know, it must have been like 0.5 seconds. Maybe a little bit longer, I'm not sure, but it was really easy and it looks pretty good. And I will add stuff to it at some point. But yeah, if you want to make your own website, there's a sale going on at Squarespace. There's a little link down below. Go and have a look. So I'm going to try and mould and cast today, the first time I've ever done that, so that's what we're going to do. I need to make some metal plates that I want to mould using all these bits of old plastic. Now I have lots of old plastic, as you all know. And I want to make some detailed metal sheets with like damage and bolts and then cast them. I mean, it sounds easy, but I've got a weird feeling that it's just not really going to work out the way I expect it to. But stick around, you know. So now I'm just going to list through all the techniques that I use to make these things look more like metal. Now, if you're going to use plastic, any cheap plastic, especially plastic from old toys and things like that, you want to kind of heat treat them. I learnt this from Craftsman. Basically, you blast it with a little blowtorch or a little flambe torch like that, and it kind of makes paint and glue stick to it a lot better. Not really sure of the science. Perhaps it's magic. No, it's probably science. This is a little mini rasper. I've got a little one and a big one, and I just want to rasp up all this metal. I want to spend quite a bit of time on each little metal plate. Seeing as I'm casting them, I can make them as detailed as I like, and I won't have to reproduce it, you know, with my hands. I can reproduce it by casting them. So that's the idea. Drill little holes in, little bullet holes and little dents, and look, I mean, that looks like a nice little, imagine that all shiny and rusty. That's going to be a nice little piece of metal. Now obviously we're going to add some rivets, because, you know, rivets are one of those things that take the longest to do when you build. So if I can cast a bit of metal with rivets already on it, that saves me lots of time. But I've still got to rivet them now. So rivet montage, I think. Yeah, we do a few rivet montage, just a few. Also, I'm going to drill some holes where rivets used to be. So rivet and hole montage. Go! So I'm also going to figure out a few techniques to make the metal look kind of corroded and rotted, and I'm going to use this little sand and PVA mix, but then I realised that PVA glue doesn't really stick to plastic, so I'm going to coat the whole thing in super glue. But PVA glue and super glue kind of create a weird texture when they're combined. It's like a weird, I don't know, it's just, yeah, it creates a weird texture, which may look interesting. To be honest, you can't really go wrong with old rusty metal. I mean, that looks pretty good to me. Let's make another one. So to corrode this little piece of plastic / metal, we're going to use a bit of super glue, and I'm just sprinkling a bit of fine sand on this. See what that looks like. I'm just going to try stuff out. I mean, that looks like a bit of super glued sand to a bit of plastic, but it will look like metal later. So to add more damage to these little bits of plastic / metal, we're going to use this little hole punch. Hole punches, I've got lots of hole punches. Hole punches are useful for punching holes in things. That's all I've got to say about hole punches. Now on my latest junk hunt, I found this little vinegar bottle. Now vinegar is something we put on fish and chips, which is, you know, it's like an English delicacy, which is basically deep fried fish and chips. Anyway, this vinegar bottle is going to be full of baking powder, which I can use as like a little baking powder dispenser. Now let me stop you there before you make a little witty comment about British cuisine. Yes, we don't have the best cuisine. Fish and chips will make you fat, which is probably why we're the fattest country in, sorry, is that the right term, fat? We're the most overweight country in Europe. But it's okay, because America's beating us, so it's fine. America always beats us, you know, congratulations, America, well done. Talking of chips, we're using this little metal file here to kind of scrape away little chips in the side of our metal/plastic sheets, which I'm hoping will show up in the final cast. I'm not sure. I mean, I've never done it before, so I have no idea if all these little details are going to show up. Hope that. Oh, I thought that was going to bend. I didn't realise it was so. Well, I've got 2 little metal plates here. Let's add some more chips there. I mean, I meant to do that, you know. Now I've got 2 plates. That's good. I didn't want a big plate anyway. Plate of chips. I want a plate of chips now. Or a big plate of French fries for you lot who speak American. I think I'm doing a bit of American bashing today. I do apologise, Americans. You are the bulk of my audience. The bulkiest of my audience. Oh, I've got to stop. So there we go, I've made lots of flat plates of metal. I want to make a few little detailed greebly kind of bits. I went in a charity shop the other day and found these. I think they're for like, I don't know, buttons or something. But we're going to make like old rotted kind of hoses, like old pipe things, the connectors, I don't know, look, that kind of shape. And I found this kazoo. I don't know if it works. No, it doesn't work. We're going to take that little grill thing there to be a little grill thing. Don't forget, it's always really important to heat. Oh, God. Look at that. Right, we're going to use some of this grating stuff, which is used for sewing. It used to be called granny grating, but I don't think that's PC anymore. We're going to use this to make a grill that was already there, that I melted away with my heat treatment. Thanks, Craftsman. You knew this was going to happen. You set me up for failure, Craftsman. I blame you, No, I love you, Craftsman, really. There we go. We've got a little grate thing, a little grill vent thing. We're going to try and cast that as a little extra detail. Now, I want my little vent, like a horizontal vent. This is an old terrarium thing. You know, the lid of a terrarium for insects and lizards and things and small children. And I'm going to use that to make a little, there we go, little vent. And I think that would just about do it. There's my little bits of detailed plastic. So if you ever wanted to make detailed bits of plastic, that's how you do it. Now this is a little mould kit, moulding kit, sorry. I do get sent mould kits in the form of old coffee cups, but this isn't that. This is for me to make a silicone mould. Now first of all, you want to stick all the stuff down to a piece of plastic or card. Now, seeing that these are just little flat bits of plastic, we want to make like just a small lip around the edge of the card. I'm using this old yoga mat foam. Still smells a bit sweaty, actually. We're going to use that to make a little tray. Now, this stuff is 1-to-1, I think, so it's, you know, one part of one part of the other. You mix it together, stir it up, and it's, yeah, the easiest moulding kit you can buy. I think someone bought me this on my Amazon wish list. Thank you to whoever bought me this. It was a long time ago and I haven't used it for a long time, but I'm using it now, so hopefully you're still watching the channel. You might not be, it's quite possible. But I might stick some more of these kits on my Amazon wish list because I kind of want to try this a bit more in the future. Let's see how it goes first though, eh? I really want to just like drink it. I don't know what it is. It just looks like, I don't know, does it look tasty? Is it because I'm not allowed to drink it? I want to drink it. I won't drink it, obviously. Maybe when it turns into jelly, I might take a bite. But yeah, don't drink silicone. This is the part of the video where I ask you to like and subscribe and, you know, click that bell, all that stuff. But also it's the part of the video where I like to show off all my patrons' builds. Every month or so, I set my patrons a challenge, a build challenge, where I take some idea from one of my videos and they have to go and build their own version. And I ask them all to build a spore bot. If you don't know what a spore bot is, it's a couple of episodes back. It's basically a robot thing. This is just a robot thing. And they just did a really good job. Like always, it's a little bit embarrassing, to be honest. Anyway, here's what they did. Pretty good. I'm so happy for them. But if you would like to become a patron and join in these little build challenges and get your stuff put up on an episode on here, and you enjoy this channel, consider being a patron. There's a link down below in the description. And if you don't do it, I'll just take a Temu sponsorship. I won't do that. So I left this overnight and it feels like silicone. Oh yeah, silicone. And we're just gonna not demold. Just rip that thing out of there and hopefully there we go. That kind of looks like a mold. Maybe clean it up a little bit. Now I'm going to try and use plaster of Paris. I think this is plaster of Paris. I labelled it white plaster. I'm not sure if it's plaster of Paris, and I didn't leave the instructions. The instructions on this tin is for baby milk, which it didn't really work. So I'm just trying to make it like, I don't know, pancake mix. I heard that's kind of what it's supposed to be like. Now, believe it or not, I don't actually have any pouring resin, so I couldn't really use resin in these things. So we're trying plaster first. I'm going to be trying lots of little household materials you might have lying around the house, but we'll try this one first, see how this turns out. I've got UV resin if it comes down to it, but you know me. Let's try stuff out. Now, while that's curing, we're going to start making our little bases for our yurts, teepee huts, our rusty huts, with little sticks and poles and just sticky things, like that, and these little things that connect like scaffolding. I showed this in my last video. I found these in a junk shop. There's just like a little toy that connect together like that. I'm going to use those. You know the drill. There's no rules really when making these little teepees. I kind of want them to be as janky and as messy as possible. It's kind of fun to do really. We need to make a little doorway, I think. We need to make sure it's the right scale, is what I'm saying. So let's get the little guy in. Is that alright? Alright, get out of it. And that was quite fun. Now, I think the stuff is nearly ready to be checked. I'm kind of a bit anxious demolding this cast because I've never done it before, and I got a feeling it's not really going to work. I don't know why I got that feeling. Maybe because plaster's so brittle. Anyway, let's go and check it, shall we? It doesn't look good, does it? I mean, it's a little bit cracked. A few bits, a bit cracked. But let's have a look at the detail. I mean, the detail is there. The detail is. That looks pretty good. That looks, alright, it looks alright. That one kind of broke down the middle, but I can always glue that back together, or I've got another 2 metal sheets. But the detail kind of held, which means it's a good mould. But you know what, we could probably do better. Let's cast it, let's use something else. You know what, first of all, I want to try and add a little bit of pigment to the powder to make it brown, so when it chips away you don't see little bits of glaring white in your build. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. We can try that. That's a nice one. That's my favourite one. Let's clean it up. So when I said pigment, I actually meant a bit of brown paint. I mixed a bit of brown paint in there, which has probably added a bit more liquid than I needed, and it's probably not going to set, but it doesn't matter. It looks like chocolate milkshake, which makes me want to drink it again, which I shouldn't. Why do I want to drink it all the time? Anyway, while that's setting, let's make another little teepee. Kind of fun making these teepees, I'm going to be honest. It's kind of like when you're in the woods with your kids and you make a little teepee using big sticks and you say, go on son, go in there, have a little play, and then it collapses on them. But it's alright because rusters wear helmets, so it's not really going to hurt them. Let's go check on the... So here we go, this is plaster of Paris mixed with some paint for that pigment. It doesn't look cracked at the moment. Alright, there's a crack. Yeah, there's another crack. There's another... Yeah, this is, we're going to have a little look, see what it looks like. This one looks okay. We have one. We did manage to. Okay, that's not worked. That hasn't worked. That's that's what I'm here for, to try things out and just clean silicone molds. Apparently, that's what I spent most of this video doing, just cleaning my silicone mold. Here we go, clean. Let's try some other materials I have lying around, like this instant filler. This is, I think it's supposed to be kind of flexible. It's like poly filler. I got this from the pound shop. Let's see what this is like. I mixed it with a tiny bit of water, not too much. So I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, and I don't want to clean this silicone mould again. I have seen people use hot glue guns on these moulds, so I just want to try that out. Make sure your hot glue gun is really hot and liquidy, and silicone moulds can take a lot of heat, so it should be fine. I mean, let's have a look. I mean, it's kept the detail, it's alright, not too bad. Let's try it on this little grill here. And while that's cooling, let's get out some flexible filler. This is like caulking. I think you call it caulking. I've got a tube of this. I mean, I mixed it with a little bit of water. Let's see what this is like. If it's flexible, it shouldn't crack, right? That's kind of my thinking. And it seems like hot glue, you know, it's an option. It's not the greatest, but it's not too bad. It suits what I need it for, really. And let's leave that stuff to cure. Now I'm going to make a big teepee hut, like the chief's hut. Basically the same way I made the other ones. A lot of this video is just a lot of me waiting, a lot of sitting around waiting for stuff to cure without actually knowing the curing times. I probably should have made a little list. I'm not very scientific in my approach. I think you know that by now. But you know, it's fun, isn't it? It's just a bit of fun. I found some kebab skewers, which are these wooden sticks with spikes at the end. They look pretty good at the top, really. They make the place look a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more rustery, you know, like, you know, ruster aesthetic. Now, when you're using a hot glue gun, I hate hot glue guns, but if you want to get rid of all those little spider webs, just use your little flambe torch on it, and we're done. Now we have 3 little huts. I'm kind of happy with those. They seem to work. Now we just need to cover them in sheets of rusty metal. Now let's go back to the mould, shall we? Okay, this is the caulking, the flexible caulking. It's still a little bit tacky, but it might be okay. Let's try the filler. Already a crack. But to be honest, it feels a bit more solid than the plaster of Paris. So maybe if, I don't know, the detail looks pretty good as well. I mean, I can use those. We can use those. It's fine. Now this is the caulking, the flexible stuff, and it seems to like have picked up the detail. I just don't think I left it to cure long enough. I might have to do a little bit more experimentation with caulking, but yeah, we won't be using that. So my last attempt is going to be UV resin. Now I know this stuff is going to work because I've used it before. It's quite expensive and I need to use a lot of it, which is the problem, which is why I was trying to find like a cheaper alternative. And I will, maybe I'll have to try again in a future video. But this stuff's going to work. All you need is a little UV torch to cure it. I think I need a bigger torch, to be honest. And there we go. Kind of works every time. The detail's all there. You can't really see it because it's transparent, and it was a little bit tacky, to be honest. I think I need a more powerful UV torch, but other than that, I mean, there we go. And that's not really going to break. It's quite hard to break resin, which is probably why everyone casts everything in resin, because it's actually what it's meant to be used for. But anyway, let's just make our little ruster hut, shall we? To start off with, I'm going to use some EVA foam because EVA foam sticks to everything, and it's a good little base to stick my little resin castings on. So I'd like to tell you there's some sort of method here, you know, some sort of plan, some sort of strategy, but not really. I literally just cut loads of random shapes with EVA foam and just stick them where they fit, to be honest with you. There's nothing really much else to it. I'll try and make it look as random as possible, and it's kind of hard to be random. If you've ever tried to be random, it's just, we're human beings, we can't really be random, but try and be random, you know, because you're really boring. So time to add all my little casts. Now, I don't expect you at home to make one of these little huts and cast and mould your own little pieces and stick them on. No, that was just for me to experiment, to try it out, because I've never really done it before. I mean, me personally, I would probably just make them all by hand and stick them on. It probably would take just as much time, to be honest with you. I mean, waiting for all those curing times, it would have just taken just as long. But I hope you're enjoying the video. Despite my moaning, there is some nice texture in there. It might look good when we paint it. Who knows? It might look terrible. You know, it's just going to be what it is. It's a ruster hut, isn't it? It's going to look terrible. It's supposed to look terrible. Now, I want to make the doorways, I want a little bit of material hanging over the doorway. So we're going to use a wet wipe that we've dried and mix it with PVA glue. Everyone knows the wet wipe trick, right? Every dad has wet wipes. For, you know, if the kids, you go to a picnic and the kid's getting food all over their face, or they've gone for a wild poo, you've always got a pack of wet wipes on you. Talking of picnics, we went to a picnic the other day in the local park, we had the food out and everything, and then suddenly a dog just ran over, a stranger's dog ran over, started eating all our food, and we was like, what the, you know, and then the owner came over. We thought, oh, she's going to be really like, she's going to be really embarrassed and apologise. She's like, you didn't have any chocolate, did you? I'm like, no, we didn't. And then she just kind of took the dog and walked away. Because, you know, God forbid, dog ate our chocolate and died. I mean, that would be quite terrible. If only she ate the chocolate and died. Where was I? Oh yeah, we're going to use some corrugated card, because I completely forgot to use some corrugated card. It's a nice bit of extra texture. There we go, and use some corrugated card. I mean, I don't want to harm the dog with chocolate, but I just couldn't believe the owner's response. You know, it's like, your dog just ran over and ate all our food. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? Move on, Bill. We're going to use some of these little kebab skewers for little spikes sticking out the side of the... I felt like it needed some more spikes. Now, seeing that I bought a load of filler from the pound shop, we're going to use some of it to just add some easy texture to the whole build. Basically, just add a little baking powder in there, a bit of sand, tiny bit of water, and then just use a little bit of a sponge on a stick to just dab it on. I think you call it spackle in America. It's basically spackle, but the more texture, the better. This thing is going to be textured. Speckle, speckle, speckle. So always in builds, whenever I'm building the thing, I'll go and have a little rest, and I come back and I think, like, we need to add some more. And I found this little jewellery chain. I'm thinking we can add some chains on here, and on these chains we should stick some animal skulls or monster skulls or things like that, because, you know, rusters like to hunt creatures. Now I have lots of little skulls in my bits box. I don't know where I got all these skulls from, to be honest. I think everyone always ends up with tons of skulls in their bits box, but we're just going to stick them on here, like a little trophy selection. Now I think I've added quite enough to the... There's a lot of texture there. Let's just hope it paints up alright. I think that's about it. I think it's time to paint the thing. So time to paint. I primed these with a bit of a Poundland spray paint, and now we're going to use a bit of burnt sienna acrylic paint, just as like a wash. We're going to add a lot of water to it. It's kind of what I do for all my rusty things, which is, let's face it, it's kind of all the things I do. But you don't want to hear about that, you know what time it is. Paint time with Bill is boring time with Bill. Boring time with Bill is story time with Bill. Should I keep saying that? I feel a bit silly saying that. Anyway, when I paint things, I don't like talking about the paint job I'm doing, because it's not a particularly good paint job. I like to talk about like a little story behind the build, or a little bit of lore, a little bit of world building stuff, which is what I'm going to do now, like right now, in a minute, you know, probably, yeah, like right now, yeah, now. So let's talk a little bit about rusters. Now, I've talked about rusters before in previous videos because I've done a lot of ruster things. So I'm just going to talk about little things I may have forgotten to mention, you know, or little bits of lore that I never spoke about before. But as you know, rusters are a tribe of, well, human-like people that worship Ferrama, which is a giant god, a giant rust god. But it's not really a rust god, it's a giant Titan robot, a war machine that's been buried in the desert, and it's just his head showing. And they see it as a giant god, and they tend to worship it. And it happens to be really rusty, so they think that's the rustier something is, the holier it is. So that's why they like rust. So everyone fears the rusters on the Gutterlands. They see them as feral, kind of monstrous raiders that just murder you on sight for no reason at all, which isn't necessarily true. You get bad rusters, you get good rusters. Most rusters these days live in the rusty peaks. They have these little rusty little shacks, these little teepee huts made out of scrap metal, and they kind of blend in with the scrap hills and stuff like that. They pretty much hide in the hills. They have to, really, because down south you've got the people of respite, the colonists who see them as a threat. Up north to the east you've got the meat mountain, which makes meat monsters that come along, kill you and take your biomatter. To the northwest you've got the plant, which is basically an AI robot manufacturing plant that creates killing machines. So they're kind of a little bit screwed, so they have to kind of just survive however they can by hiding amongst the rusty peaks. No one really knows where the rusters originated from. Some people speculate that it might have been like a life raft on a ship that crash landed on the planet long before anyone else arrived there, where it's just a couple of families that had to interbreed to survive. They just interbred generation after generation. They became this strange race of people. So a ruster's life consists of killing monsters, warding off people, keeping people away from their home and their families. They're just like you and me, really. Just they worship rust. They like spiky metal armor and collecting animal bones and decorating their little teepees with them. It's just a way of life for them. It's the only way they know how to survive. But they're not completely devoid of morals and honour. They won't just kill you for no reason. They'll kill you for a nice pair of shoes because, you know, what's nicer than a nice pair of shoes? But they're not just going to kill you for looking at them. Well, I mean, for looking at them too long. They might kill you. I mean, yeah, they might kill you. But, you know, they've had it hard, you know. It's been pretty tough up there in the rusty peaks, and it's all the colonists' fault. So, you know, who blames them for stealing the odd pair of colonist boots? Anyway, that's just a little bit of lore about the rusters. Let's finish this paint job here, and I think it's about time. I haven't done an oil wash in a while, so I think we're going to do an oil wash. And if you don't know how to do an oil wash, well, luckily I've got this little video. There we go, that's pretty much it. This oil wash I'm going to leave overnight to dry, and hope it doesn't completely desaturate all the colour, which it kind of usually does. But to be honest, they're rusty teepee tent shack things, so does it really matter? So here we are, my rust huts, rusty shacks, rusty teepee tent things. I'm really terrible at naming things. I got a feeling that these things look better in person than they do on camera. Of course, everyone would say that. But honestly, if they look all right in the glamour shots in a minute, then they look better in person. Not that you'll ever know, because, I mean, unless you want to come round, we can watch a film or something. It was just a bit of fun, really. I really enjoyed making all these little plates and just having fun corroding and making textures and, you know, corroded, rusty, crusty metal. It's always fun. It's always a good day for me. I also made a mould and cast some things, which is the first time I've ever done it. It was quite satisfying. I quite enjoyed it. I'd like to do it again. If you'd like me to do it again, let me know, because the mould's still there. I can still use it. There's something really satisfying about that. So there we go. Glamour shots coming up in a second. I think next episode I want to make some robots. I just really feel like I haven't made a robot in a while. It sounds like a joke, but I haven't. I'm very selfish that way. I just want to make things I want to make. Do you want me to make a robot? Comment down below. Make me feel better about it. So, anything from you? You're going to start your own drama channel. You've just had a call from Temu. They're going to sponsor your first episode. Well, good luck. Good luck to you, cat. I'm getting a dog. My rusty crusty teepee tent shack things. The ruster huts. We call them ruster huts. There we go. Keep it simple. I'd love to see some of you people at home make some of these. They're really fun to make. You don't have to cast the mould like I did. I was just trying to be a bit flash. Look how well that turned out. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. I really appreciate you watching. This was quite a long video. I think it's the moulding and casting took forever. I mean, because it's a relatively simple build, to be honest with you. But thank you for watching all the way through. Now, I'm nearly finished with my book Skirm, which is my next tabletop game, which is what I needed the Ruster Huts for. You'll see why later. And I want to thank my patrons. Thank you, patrons. My patrons are the best thing in the world, really. They keep this channel going. You should thank the patrons too, because, you know, you're watching this video because of the patrons. Go on, thank you.